Welcome to episode 8 of Ring Talk, the Goodwin Boxing Weekly YouTube programme. We've got Steve Goodwin with us and Charlie Rice, who's making his comeback to the ring. We're going to talk all about that shortly. So we'll start off from the weekend, and you were down in Cardiff. Big Bill, they're supporting Frank.
Yeah.
Got the points win over Craig Richards. How was it?
I thought Frank boxed well. I thought Craig Richards was superb.
Yeah.
Frank was a worthy winner. He won plenty of the rounds. It was conclusive. Full credit to both of them. They both had to deal with a late substitute of opponent. Frank was dealing specifically with Callum Johnson. Craig Richards is a different style. Craig wasn't ready, but I think Craig proved he's in time he will be at that level. And once he's grown into the division, so and he's a lovely kid as well. But Frank done well. We now move on, and we look forward to facing our mandatory in 2018.
So what's the situation with that? Because there was talk that Callum Johnson retains his mandatory position,
which he would do. Yeah, that's unless the board want to overturn that because he's pulled out of injury. I mean, they could do that. So if Mr. Gallagher, the manager, could technically try and withdraw Callum Johnson, put Isaiah Burton in. What we're not going to tolerate is a late substitution again.
Yeah.
So if they're going to put Isaiah Burton forward, put him forward and we'll fight him. If not, if it's Callum Johnson, and I hope Callum is well, then we'll fight Callum Johnson. For Frank, if you look at his record now, he's won the British title and defended it twice. The three opponents had a record of 43-0 before they fought him. He's fought 3 undefeated fighters. It'd be great for him to fight Callum Johnson, who's a Commonwealth champion and represents a far stiffer test than Isaiah Burton, who he's already beaten in the amateurs and beaten as a professional already. And I think he'd beat him more conclusively this time because Frank was coming off a long layoff last time. If it's Callum Johnson, that's great. If it's Isaiah Burton, that's great. Whoever his mandatory is, he'll deal with.
I think Frank he put up on Twitter earlier that if it wasn't Callum Johnson, he'd really like it to be Anthony Yard because that carries on the undefeated opponents.
But that's down to the board. I mean, all Frank wants to do, he'll win the British title outright in his next fight, hopefully, and then he'll then move on to European and whatever levels he wants to go on to. But he desperately wants to win, and this again, all he's done. He's put who's in front of him, and the point last week, Isaiah Burton saying they wanted to fight. We covered it last week. That it isn't going to happen at short notice with them throwing in a late substitution. That's not going to happen.
And get yourself in that mandatory position if it's something that you desire so much.
Crack on, go and do that.
Absolutely. And then you're flying off tomorrow, Wednesday, over to Monaco to go and support.
Doesn't stop, does it?
Go and support Mr. Chisora.
Yeah, we're going to be working with. Obviously, I manage Dereck, so he's got really a massive fight. He's been a European champion before. I was speaking to Nissa Sowland the other week, and he said this is a really tough fight for Dereck.
Yeah, so it's an undefeated young lad that he's fighting. I can't remember the guy's name, if I'm honest.
Kerry out.
Yeah, that's him. He's renowned as a bit of a banger.
Yeah, banger, and he walks forward and he's strong. Sowland said that they thought it was a real 50-50 fight, but for Dereck, he wants a world title shot in 2018. He's done that once before. As we all know, we believe he beat Dillian White in that fight. He never got the decision, but he won the fight. And I think, in reality, this is about him winning the European title, then moving on to better things in early 2018. So it's all on Saturday, and it's a crucial fight for Dereck. So looking forward to going out there and working with him, and hopefully he can do the business on Saturday.
Yeah. How much attention do you pay, Charlie, to the cards like Saturday, the one just been? Are you kind of a boxing fan? No.
I only watch a bit about the big fights, but other than that, I don't watch it.
No. So you're not someone who lives and breathes the sport outside of you?
I can't stand it. I
really?
Yeah. I don't know. God knows the truth.
What's the reason for that? Just
I don't know.
Saturated with it, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've just done too much of it. I enjoy doing it, but when it comes to watching it, I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Right, so we'll move on to Charlie now then, and you're making your ring return. So for people that don't know your background, you've fought before, been out of the ring. I think your only loss came to Danny Connor, didn't it, in the prize fighter? So how long are you going to have been out of the ring? Because you're making your return on December 3rd, York Hall.
It'll be 3 years.
Second, sorry, not December the 3rd.
It'll be 3 years in November the 24th.
Right.
2014.
And so for those that don't know, what was the layoff down to?
I just had a kid. I wasn't earning enough from boxing. I think I was earning like 250 quid a week with a sponsor.
Yeah.
Just wasn't enough, so I went back to Brick Lane, got a trade behind me, and that was it. So I started to earn a bit more money.
So what's prompted the return then?
I don't want to get to 30, 35 and go, what if I'd done it? what if I give it another go? So it's mainly just get back into it and give it a good shot. Just see how far I can actually go, and if I win a big title, it's good. If I don't, then fair enough. At least I've given it another go and give it all my all.
So how old are you now?
25.
25. So I mean, what do you think in those 4 years? Have you been training? Have you been?
Yeah, always been in and out of the gym. I think I got to about 13.5 stone, and I thought I've got to get back in the gym. I was struggling going up the ladders at work, so I thought get back in the gym. I was training for the last year and a half. I've been back in the gym, got my weight down, training, and then this year I've sort of picked the sparring up, picked the running up, got the weight right down. So yeah, it's just in and out of the gym, not taking the dieting too serious.
Yeah.
But obviously now the fight's come up, the diet's back on.
So what weight are you coming back? 'Cause you were light welter before.
When it comes to titles, I will box at light welter again. But for the first fight back, it's going to be around the 10 stone 10, and then slowly drop back into it.
Yeah. Are there any nerves that feel like you've never done it before because you've had that long layoff?
Yeah, I remember shitting myself. Honestly, because on my last fight I had a year out, and the nerves got to me.
Yeah.
But I think this time around it's just going to be a bit more intense with the nerves.
Do you feel like the age has helped you? Because you kind of would have matured a fair bit over those 4 years.
I feel like I've got my man strength. I'm a bit more. I've got more sense about me, and it's just matured a little bit more.
Yeah. You're saying about training. There's a question from Rob Brennan I was finding. It says, good fighter, Charlie. Where's he training? Used to be at Som Fitness.
Yeah. I'm back at my old amateur club, Times ABC.
Okay.
I was with Barry O'Connell for I think a year and a half, a year.
Yeah, so State of Mind Fitness for those that don't know Som.
Yeah, it's a good gym.
Yeah.
Just get down there.
Okay. So are you going to be sticking with that one, or keeping your options open?
I'll be sticking here at Times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So how much are you looking forward to it? Because I mean, there's a buzz that fighters who maintain that career get.
Yeah.
You've had that long layoff, so you know what you've missed. And then you're coming back to it.
I think I was meant to box July, but the whole show got pulled out. And
by the way, that wasn't our show.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't really have much of a buzz. There wasn't much going on, so it was like just training. But since I've obviously signed with Steve and he's given me a fight date, it's just I'm buzzing now.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about it, and it's just lifted me right up.
Yeah, you said earlier your phone's been going non-stop since Steve's put out a press release saying that you're making your ring return.
Yeah, just constantly people asking about tickets, who you're fighting, what's this, when is it. So it's good that this many people got so much interest like 4 weeks out from the fight.
Yeah. Because there was a lot of interest in your career before you kind of took the break.
Yeah.
So you're hoping that you'll quickly get that back and the levels that you were at?
I'm not too fussed how quick it goes. I'd rather get the ring rust off and build my way back into it. I don't want to be like 1-2 fights and then you jump straight into deep waters. I'd rather get the ring rust off, build myself back up 6-8 rounders, and then see what happens from there.
So I think it's good that you're realistic that it's almost starting a career again, but you've got the advantage of the experience you've had previously.
Yeah. Ideally I would have wanted a 6 rounder, but obviously where it's last minute 4 rounder, it's just to blow the cobwebs off.
Yeah.
But next fight hopefully could be a 6 rounder.
Yeah. So how did it come then you signed with Steve and Goodwin Boxing?
I messaged Kevin Campion on Facebook.
Oh, bless you.
But it's I wanted to sign with Steve a few years ago, but when I was with Barry, and Barry was like, I like Mickey, sign with him. So I've done it, but I never boxed again under that contract. So the 3 years have gone, the contract's over. So I thought we'd give it a shot. Messaged them, and we had a meeting last week.
That's it. That kind of turnaround. Because I think people maybe don't understand that at home. That you think the contractual side, and they may take longer to negotiate or whatever, but you turn up last week and you signed. Yeah,
well, I turned up and Steve just put everything on the plate for me. He just said, "This is what we do." Like basically, like it or lump it. And basically it was. And
you have to come and sit here with us in the studio for once, one of your obligations.
It was just one of those things that everything he had said that I wanted it to happen. So it was just such straight.
Does that make life easier though?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so much easier.
Yeah. And so how good is it for you, Steve, getting Charlie back into the ring? And
no, it's great because he's an Islington boy and I come from Islington, so I'd always watched his career.
Yeah.
When he started up, I followed him and followed him through, and obviously, as you know, we never contact fighters, so I've never spoke to Charlie. And when his contract was up, he contacted Kevin, set up a meeting.
Yeah.
It was very straightforward. We tell every boxer how it is. We don't sugarcoat it. We tell you what we can do, what we can't do, what the limitations are, what he's got to do, what we expect from the boxer. and if the boxer wants to do that, then we're there to help. And Charlie wanted to do it, so away you go.
Excellent. So what are your aspirations now then? I mean, you talked earlier about big titles, and is that still where you see yourself going?
I said to Steve last week, I always set a goal of being a Southern Area champion, so winning the Southern Area title, and he said that I should win the Southern Area, but to look at an English title.
Right.
So if all goes well, then hopefully become English champion. But if I can win the Southern Area title, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah. So when you were saying earlier about you don't watch the other boxing necessarily, have you kept an eye on those around your weight?
Yeah.
So who have you got around there? Ted Cheeseman, isn't it? Is he?
No, he's like middle.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's one of the two.
I know that Sheer Osgood, he's the Southern Area champion at lightweight.
Is he still?
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in ages.
He had a problem with a scan apparently.
Oh, okay.
So he's a bit on. His career's on hold at the moment.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because there's a lot of talk about Sear and Kay Prosper, wasn't there, a while back, and so you keep an eye on those around.
Around the Southern Area, around the 10 stone, 10-7 mark.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I always keep a little lookout, but I wouldn't go too much into it.
Yeah, Danny Connor, is that one you'd like to avenge in time?
At first, I was like,
I'm sure Danny will comment on it at some point.
Yeah, I was like, I've got to avenge that defeat, and then Danny was working with me, I think about 2.5 years ago. He's just a good mate.
He's a lovely guy, Danny.
You can't not like him. He gives it all the mouth, but he's just
he's quite a nice fella, though.
Yeah, he's a down to earth person, so you can't really like hate him.
So when you say like he's a good mate, would you still fight him if that came along? If there was a Southern Area title
of course fight? I would, Like, I'm not going to turn that down for a Southern Area, but I would say he's a good mate. A friendship would have to go to the side.
Good, I like that. I don't like it when boxers say like, "Oh no, I'm not going to fight so and so because I've trained with him." Or
I'm sure he'd be the same. So.
I'm sure he would. Yeah, he likes the opportunity, doesn't he?
He's got a good fight against Maxie Hughes coming up.
That is up in Doncaster with the Steffi Ball show. I like Danny a lot. December 2nd. Have you seen many of Steve's shows since he's had the changes with all the big screens and stuff like that?
My mate Jules Phillips boxed. He had his debut on Steve's show, and that was the first one I ever went to. So I see all the big screens, the videos, the smoke, everything.
Yeah,
it's wicked.
Is that a selling point when you're weighing up what the options might be?
Yeah, because it's more of it's an entertainment. Like on the shows like boxing, we had a bit of music and we just walk out.
Yeah.
Here it's more of a show. It's more of a production and. Yeah, that's what you want. You want your fans to come there and go, "Oh, that was good. Did you see that?"
It'll make them want to go again as well as the repeat kind of customer base that you build up from it.
Yeah, it's good.
Excellent. So how excited are you to see Charlie back? And
that's great. I mean, at the end of the day, what we try to do is give the boxer enough support so they just concentrate on the fighting. And if he just concentrates on the fighting and we take care of the rest, there's no, I think with Charlie, he's a fighter. He will win a Southern Area. He could well win in English and one day could fight for a British. So I think there is no reason he can't fulfil all those things, and we'll deliver that for him on the right, building it in accordance with how he's progressing. But we have to remember he's had that many years out.
Yeah.
But I've no doubt. I mean, realistically, barring injury, he should be winning the Southern Area next year, end of next year.
Yeah.
That's realistic. And then you look at sort of reinforcing that in 2019. I think that's a realistic timescale.
That's when music to your ears, isn't it?
That is.
Excellent. Right, so we're going to move on. We've got loads of questions this week, so thank you once again to those that send them in during the week, and I try and gather them all up on a Tuesday. So thank you very much for sending them. I'll fire them off to you, Steve.
Okay.
The first one I wanted to touch on, just as we were talking about the production side of shows. One from Jesse Jet Talking. Whose idea was a big screen entrance? Is it a big cost? I feel it really adds to the shows personally.
Josh is behind. Whose actual idea was it? I can't remember. Because
Josh is claiming credit for it.
So it was Josh's idea, and it's a full credit to Josh. And yes, it's very expensive.
Yeah. And it's not just like the one-off cost.
Not only to buy, you've got to run them each time, but for the brand and for the boxers, I think it's worth every penny because it totally changes up the shows. And I think the boxers, when they put the training in that they do, and they work hard, they sell tickets, shouldn't they feel like a proper professional rather than feel like an unlicensed fighter? And some of these shows, they just come out like unlicensed fighters, and I think it really does make the event for them, makes them feel more special, makes their fans buy into the concept of them being a pro boxer, and I think it's well worth every penny spent. I'm glad that I spent the original money on developing it.
Yeah, I think it's phenomenal. Some of the photos you see afterwards when they stand at the top of that entrance and the smoke comes up and you've got the screens in the background. Some of those photos are brilliant that you see of the fight.
Takes a lot of work though. Imagine all the work that's done beforehand for the people putting the videos together and everything. There's a lot of work behind the scenes done for that.
Yeah.
So, congratulations to everybody for doing it and the guys that work on it all the time. It's brilliant. But that's part of the Goodwin boxing concept that we have for any promoter using a Goodwin boxing show, and it's working
the investment
really well.
in the fighters and yeah,
it's great.
Okay, one from Anthony Ridley. Can you ask Steve what his opinion is on the Tyson Fury ban? Why does he think it's taken so long to get resolved?
Well, I always like to give an opinion, but I don't. But to give an opinion on something I know nothing about is unfair. Yeah. I don't know anything about the in-depth details. If I do, I'd comment, but I don't. So I don't want to sort of make up a load of rubbish. So unfortunately, I can't answer that.
Yeah, so it looks like he's coming back anyway. Is the long and short of it?
Which is great if he does, because I think it'd be great for him to come back. I think what he did with Klitschko was fantastic, and I hope Tyson does come back. I think he's good for the sport, and that's all that really matters to me. Really, I'd love to see him back.
Who wins, Charlie? Fury or Joshua? If we get Fury back to good condition,
I think if you give him like three warm-up fights, I think he scores Joshua.
Yeah,
just all wrong for him.
Yeah,
all wrong. It's be the same as what happened with Klitschko.
I agree entirely. Actually, I think, and he's still he's such a character, isn't he? Like good or bad. I know that there's peaks and troughs with him, but the heavyweight division would be so much richer if he can make a successful return. As you say, he needs a few warm-up fights,
and I think Joshua needs to fight what I consider to be a prime, credible opponent. Because Klitschko at 42, 2 years after he'd been beaten by Tyson, it was a great event, but I still haven't seen Anthony Joshua fight a really credible heavyweight in his peak yet.
Here you go, here's a question on it from Kaiser Sose. Joshua has been poor. Maybe a bit of a sweeping statement, but I think we know what you mean. Does Steve think that's down to him rising to the occasion against better opposition, or is he just overrated?
I think Joshua is beating everybody that is being put in front of him, but he's had 2 life or death fights with Dillian Whyte and Klitschko.
Yeah.
He hasn't yet fought a top heavyweight in his prime, so I think I'll reserve my judgment until he does that. And honestly, if I had to lay my finger on it, I think it's something that we spoke about, and I'll use a quote somebody else close to me has said, that he's an accident waiting to happen. And I think really if that would probably be my opinion, but I have total respect for him. He's doing a great job outside the ring. He's getting British boxing going. I hope he continues to reign for quite a long time, but I'm not so sure.
I think the brand that he is very good, and it elevates boxing beyond where it was before he came along.
Agree.
You wouldn't have had Wembley and Cardiff successively sold out. And that attention, gets it on the back page of the paper.
I think he's fantastic for boxing, and he's great. He spends, after the public workout last week, he spent 2 hours with fans.
Yeah.
I hope that he continues to reign for a long time to come, because I think he's great for boxing. I'm not so sure, but I hope that he does. I can't say anymore.
Even if he doesn't, I hope he can at least get a rivalry that people will remember in 30 years' time.
Yeah, no,
so if he can fight with Fury, 2, 3, 4 times.
Yes, no, I agree.
Then at least have that legacy that he can leave behind.
I agree.
One from John Bailey. Do you think more named fighters may sign up to Heyman for USA and go free agent in the UK, allowing easy access to the World Boxing Super Series or ITV and Box Nation? So this is presuming on the back of James DeGale, Lee Selby coming over.
Yeah, possibly. I think I'm an advocate of being a free agent for boxers. You know that from a long time ago. I don't believe in signing these long-term restrictive deals. I don't think there's many boxers that benefit from that overall. So I think staying free agent or short-term deals is the way forward. Yeah. Having seen some of the contracts from various promoters that I've seen, I think that it's too restrictive to sign some of these deals. So yes, I think that's possible. But I would say also that the Super Series, if you are smart when you do any deals, you make sure that there's an escape clause for the Super Series.
Yeah. The kind of money that's touted.
A Goodwin fighter would have that in the contract.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you don't have to go and sign with Heyman, sign with Steve.
Could do the same job, probably make them more money. There you go.
But it doesn't I mean, that's a serious point, though. It doesn't have to be Heyman. That you had Frank whilst he was still a free agent.
Yes.
And you kept him a free agent until there was a deal that suited him financially, personally,
Same with Dereck. We've done the same with Dereck,
yeah.
So the key is, in my opinion, to keep the boxers in a free position. Too many boxers go and sign these long-term deals. I'm not a fan of them for various reasons. But I think if you sign the right deals with the right get out clauses, the right options, if the promoter delivers everything, you can sign another short-term deal. But you still have to have those clauses that you can fight. This WSB is crucial now. If you're going to be able to have the right options and the right money, you need to be free to go in this. Some promoters might not let them, or might have some restrictions, and I think that's important to make that put that in your contract.
Yeah, another one, hopefully quickly, from Jesse Jet Talking. Has Steve had any dealings with Murphy's Boxing and Ken Casey in Boston? Do you follow the small hall scene in the USA at all?
No.
All right, fair enough. I think that's a guy from Dropkick Murphys, band that they deal with Spike O'Sullivan, I think.
Oh, okay. I like Spike, by the way. I think he's nice.
Oh, he's a brilliant guy.
I really but no, I honestly don't know anything about American small hall boxing or anything to do with it. I actually wouldn't mind getting to understand about it going forward, and hopefully a few things we're going to be speaking about in the next few days may give us a bit of an inroad into that as it happens, but I'll just leave that for next week or the week after.
Yeah, Spike fought the Liverpudlian Nick Quigley, didn't he, over in America recently?
Yeah. Really
odd, an Irishman, the Scouse fighting in America.
Yeah. I think going forward there may be more options for fighters to fight in America, bearing in mind what's going on over there, and I've heard quite a few rumours going on, but there's more for a few weeks' time when I know a bit more.
All right. Going back to Joshua quickly, I'm going to send this. Have you seen the fight from the week?
Yeah.
Excellent. So you follow it to that extent. I'm going to throw this one to you. I think Oscar Smith, was Takam stopped too early, or had the referee seen he had taken punishment in the rounds leading to it and was on his way out, so it was a fair stoppage?
No, it was stopped too early.
Do you think?
He was still riding the shots, blocking them, slipping. He had his wits about him. He got caught with that one shot. I think it was like a right hand. It was sending him back on his heels. But he's still riding the shots. If you'd seen like the replay, the shots were scuffing.
Yeah.
They weren't taking the full.
It was that right hand at the end, wasn't it, where he just pulled up, let it go past him, and at that point he gets headlocked out of the way. And
I think it was stopped too early.
Yeah. I was just listening actually to Steve Bunt's podcast on the way over, and he was saying that they thought it was a fair stoppage with the amount of blood that was going into the eyes. He probably had as good a view as anyone there. Was it?
I think he was taking a beating. There was excuses to stop that fight far earlier than that. So I think you could have easily stopped it 8, 9, 10. I'd rather see a boxer stopped earlier than later. But the timing of the stopping was very odd, because at that particular point he wasn't taking that. He was riding it, and he was riding the punishment. So if you weren't going to stop it 2 rounds before, 3 rounds before, it was just an odd time to stop it. And I don't think the referee's corrupt, but 20 wins and 20 knockouts looks better than 19 wins and 1 on points.
There were better phases you could have jumped in at, I think, but
to stop it, because I think like round 5 the blood was just pouring out of his eyes.
Yeah.
But stop it then. Don't stop it. Was it round 10?
Yeah, if he survived 5 rounds with it.
And he was still throwing punches at that time, He was throwing punches at. But I mean, again, he wasn't going to win the fight, so but it was just an odd time to stop it. That's all.
Yeah, I just think given the last fight we saw Joshua in, where he was on his hands and knees, probably knocked out for a few seconds, crawling his way back up, you allow that to go on, but you don't allow a guy who can slip shots, parry shots, roll shots. You stop that. It didn't feel comfortable to me. But it probably would have ended the next round.
But then you're an away fighter on an anti-Joshua show, which is in effect what it is.
Yeah.
Working alongside Matchroom, where there's fortunes of money in Joshua. And having a perfect knockout stoppage record is very important.
I'm sure Carlos has been well compensated for it.
I'm sure,
and he earned it. To be fair,
I tell you what, I think his stock has risen for that fight. He'll get some more good fights. You can see him coming back and fighting a Dillian Whyte or somebody, or even a Dereck Chisora or something like that. I think full credit to Carlos Takam, one tough man, and the referee. It just probably didn't look as good, and people booed. That probably wasn't the ideal ending to what the people wanted. But just have to accept. Sometimes the referee might have made a misjudgment, and from that point of view, you just have to accept that.
Yeah. Mentioning Dillian Whyte, a question from Riku: what is Steve's take on the Whyte and Matchroom chasing the Wilder fight situation?
Well, Dillian Whyte wants big fights. He doesn't particularly want the Dereck Chisora fight, which I know that for sure. We know. I mean, we know that is not a fight he ideally wants. And do I blame him? If I was Dillian Whyte, would I want to fight? Would I want to go for Deontay Wilder for a really big purse, or Dereck Chisora for probably a third of the money? Probably lose to both, in my opinion. So you might as well go for the big money. And why shouldn't he go for a shot at the world heavyweight title? So I think for Dillian, it's worth because he could win. I mean, so I think it's it would be worth a shot at Dillian White. So I think it makes perfect sense, really.
Yeah.
But I don't think Wilder wants Joshua. He doesn't want Dillian White, so you've got a bit of an impasse there. But money talks, so who knows? I know that he's trying to get it for the 3rd of February.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
All right, question from Oscar Smith again. Any thoughts on who Joyce's next opponent will be, and do you believe he could challenge for the English or British title in the next fight? English. Oh, actually, the English was meant to be Nick Webb, Nathan Gorman.
Funny went with that.
That's Nick Webb's pulled out, I think.
Well, Nick Webb says that he didn't pull out, but anyway, that fight's dead.
Yeah, that's all that happens. The headline.
So then you've got Joe, but then you've got Joe Joyce. It depends on if Joe Joyce is obviously they need on David Hayes' show, and they want to put him on the Haymaker show. They don't want to put him, say it was Nathan Gorman. Nathan Gorman's promoted by Frank Warren. You've then got to do a deal between David Hay and Frank Warren, which may be difficult.
Yeah. I don't think you can probably buy Sam Sexton to come onto the Haymaker show, I suspect.
Although Frank Warren announced that he's doing a deal with Sam Sexton at the moment. Yeah, so to do a fight with him. So I think what you'll probably see is Frank Warren possibly sign Sam Sexton with a view to feeding him to Daniel Dubois.
Yeah.
So you've got the internal politics stopping these fights happening. So
freezing out Joe Joyce, presumably.
Yeah, I think you can see that.
Which is wise, if you hold on to those titles and you can freeze others out.
That's the objective. And then Joe Joyce would have to get in a mandatory position to fight Sam Sexton, which is a few fights down the line.
Yeah.
But that's probably not a bad thing. Joe Joyce does need a few fights, I think, after seeing his debut.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to throw this one to both of you, one after the other, I think. I'll start off with you, Steve, from the business perspective. From Paul Oldtie, what is more beneficial to a fighter going forward, an English or British title, or something like a WBO European that gets you a world ranking? WBO
Start me off on that again. I think WBO European titles,
they're a mess.
I mean, Leon Woodstock, right? He's now ranked in the world top 15 for beating Craig Poxton. Craig Poxton lost to George Jupp for the Southern Area title.
Yeah.
Now, if you can get a world top 15 ranking for beating Craig Poxton, and I love Craig, he's a tough man and a really nice guy.
And Leon as well.
Yeah, I don't know Leon, but I know Craig. That says it all.
Yeah.
And that, to me, just ends that conversation.
Yeah. What would you prefer then, Charlie? If you were told you've got a title fight coming up, you're going to fight either for the British title or for the WBO European, and you'll end up ranked number 11.
It's a no-brainer, British title.
Is it?
Yeah, you got to win it outright. But if you can't dominate your own country, how are you going to go to the world scene and start fighting? You've got to be able to win the British, move on to European, then move on to world level.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to just jump and get a top 10 ranking or top 15.
Do you know a little regard WBO Europeans? I might be wrong on the timing. My understanding is if you fight for a WBO European title, you can't then fight for the proper European title for 2 years.
Really?
Now, might be
the EBU one that Derek's fighting.
The proper one.
Yeah.
So in other words, they consider that to be such an irrelevant title that they say if you fight for that, you're not even going to qualify for a European title.
Yeah.
So that really says it all. So for me, it's for fighters that, they've now introduced like an East-West intercontinental title,
Yeah.
which is European title. IBF have done their own East-West European title, which is the same thing. Get a ranking in the IBF. It's just becoming a sanction fee thing, but it doesn't really, in my opinion, mean anything. Like Frank Buglioni won a WBO European title by knocking over a road sweeper, and then he said the weekend when we was talking, and he said when they offered him Anthony Yard to vacate his British title and fight for a WBO European title, he said, I've won that tin pot title before.
Yeah, and dropped it.
It was irrelevant. And it does get you a world ranking, and it probably got him a fight with Chudinov. But as he said, what does it do? It propels fighters that aren't good enough at that time to get a world title shot. George Jupp did it against the Mexican. He said, but I wasn't ready. So why would I not do it? He said, it just fast tracks you, but you're not good enough when you're being fast tracked.
But use Leon Woodstock as an example. He's now in a position where he can fight Lomachenko.
Because he beat Craig Poxton.
Yeah, if that is the route to getting Lomachenko, then that's madness.
I understand commercially, and obviously it's Queensberry Promotions do use the WBO European a lot, and I understand commercially why a promoter would use that. I'm just saying, in reality,
it's misleading.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
Yeah. Right, a question from the Boxing Fortnight. Is the EBU title as far as Del Boy will get, or do you think he'll get another crack at a world title? Probably answer it next week.
I think he's in a hard fight next week. If he wins on Saturday, I think it's really reasonable he can get a shot at the world title next year.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very possible. So I think that in reality, the question is really that I believe that Saturday is the most important fight in Dereck's career since fighting Klitschko. The rest of the fights that he had, Pulev when he fought away and stuff like that, I think now this is key, because a loss now at European level, I think is going to be very hard for him to go back again. So I think this is going to define. So I think the question will be answered Saturday. What I would say, if he wins it, no, I think we can navigate into a world title shot.
Yeah. Would he be the type of character, you know him personally better than many, if he did lose on Saturday, do you think he would be somebody that would hang around the British title scene? Or, you know, he's already done that, so is it of any interest, or does he take up a gatekeeper level beyond British?
I think he's a fighter. Dereck is a fighter.
Yeah, but he's got his farm and things, hasn't he?
I think I can't. If he lost on Saturday, I wouldn't imagine him hanging his gloves up. I don't think he's that type of man. But I think at the moment we're concentrating on the positive side, and we do think he can win on Saturday. So I think he can go further forward. I think he rises to the occasion if he's in the right frame of mind. I believe he's in the right frame of mind now. I don't think he's ever been happier in his boxing, because the deal that he has got he's free from any long-term commitments. He's got total control of his career now with us. So he's not tied in for nobody's dictating to him.
Yeah.
We're controlling the situation for him, and he's never been happier. And I think he knows how important the fight is. I think he'll win on Saturday. So I think we'll then see, if he wins on Saturday, there is no reason that we can't navigate into a world title shot.
Was it an influence for you, Charlie, when you were looking around at potential managers, promoters and things? The likes of Chisora and Buglioni working with Steve, was that an influence to you when it came to picking somewhere to approach?
Yeah, because he's got those two high-level fighters, and he's got loads of other fighters that he's built up. Say Johnny Garton, I think he won the Southern area with Steve, then he won the English, and now he's with Frank Warren. I think he's with Frank Warren, but he builds them up and he gets them to where they want to be. He helps them, so it's good that he manages people at the highest level, and then like the small ball shows.
Yeah.
You never know, he could end up being at the highest level soon.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Question from me, because I forgot to ask it earlier. What happened with Jamani Camaro, who was meant to be fighting Joe Cordina on Saturday down at Wembley? Cardiff.
Cardiff. Oh yeah. What happened was we were offered tentatively the fight about 8 days before on the Friday, and we spent a bit of time to-ing and fro-ing, negotiating money like you would do as a good manager, trying to get the money you want for your fighters.
Yeah.
You want your fighters to get fairly paid. And in the end, we settled on figures that Jamani was delighted with, and I think we settled on them on the Tuesday. And he was travelling up on Friday morning to Cardiff for the weigh-in, and so it was all done, dusted, and finished. And I got a call on Thursday night from Matchroom saying Tony Sims, the trainer's changed his mind. Fight's off.
And just didn't want Jamani.
So apparently, and they drafted in a foreign guy that must have. But to be fair, I know the rules. The foreign guy has to get approved by Thursday, so it must have been going on in the background. So obviously, what was happening was Jamani was booked, but they didn't ideally want Jamani, so they kept him on hold while they tried to sort somebody else out.
Yeah.
So, but in the end, they did give Jamani some compensation financially, a little bit, to apologise for it. But obviously, from Jamani's perspective, didn't work too well. But I think in hindsight, it worked out quite well, because it ended up being a 4-round quick shifty in between the main events. So I don't think he missed out a lot.
It didn't get televised anyway.
No, so I don't think he missed out much on it. He missed out on a bit of money, but for Jamani, we wanted it was an 8-round fight.
It was an opportunity.
But also, Jamani's got more chance of showing himself over 8 rounds. He's not a 4-round fighter. So we were quite, in hindsight, it worked out okay. But it was a bit disappointing that he was training for it, and on the Thursday before, that literally he was going to go out on the Friday to travel up. It was just dropped. He was just dropped out of it. I didn't think that was particularly great.
Yeah, but maybe a fight for the future, perhaps.
This fight, hopefully, we can go back and do. Obviously, Tony Sims wasn't keen on the fight, and he obviously said, "Well, we'll take Camilo if we can't get anybody else."
Yeah.
And they were told to carry on trying to look. So obviously, if they had said that to us, Jamani wouldn't have been in reserve. So that's how boxing works sometimes. And unfortunately, Jamani, but they didn't. To be fair to them, they didn't have to give any money.
Yeah.
So they gave some money for it. So.
Morally correct.
Yeah.
All right, a question from John Bailey. Are boxers pressured to go with certain trainers to earn promotional deals? A lot seem to turn over with Tony Sims.
I have been told by certain trainers that certain fighters only get promotional deals if they sign with certain trainers. So let's leave.
There are some very obvious links around the country that take you back to certain places.
And trainers get upset by that because they can nurture a particular fighter and do all the work with them, and then they get approached by a promoter, whoever that promoter may be, and they're then told which trainer they have to go to. And the fighter wants that particular exposure, so they dump the trainer they're with.
Yeah.
The issue is, I think Charlie would answer that better than I would, because if he's got this guy from the amateur that brings him up to English-British level, and somebody says, right, okay, we're going to give you a contract, we've got to dump the trainer who's done all the work with you.
What would you do?
You wouldn't do it.
No?
No, because who are you going to trust more? Someone that you've just met, or someone that you've had since? I was with this trainer since I was 11 years old. They're getting you ready for war. Who are you going to want to have in your corner when it's getting hard and it's getting messy? You're going to want someone who knows you inside out. You're not going to go with someone who you just met and done a few weeks training with.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer to just stay with what you know.
No-brainer for you, not for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Question from Eastervin, and apologies, I probably pronounced that wrong. I would like to find out what percentage of the money do managers and trainers get? Now I realise that differs depending on what you negotiate, but
trainers traditionally take 10%. That's their contracted amount with the board. Some trainers, though, some of the bigger trainers do demand more.
Yeah.
Some trainers that are the bigger ones not only want the trainer's money, they want the manager's money as well. So they combine the two to get a bigger percentage. The maximum that a manager can take is 25% of a boxer's net purse, not the gross purse.
Right.
Some managers out there, I've seen them. So let's say a boxer earns £4,000. A manager will take £1,000 of that. Some of them do it out there. Do you know that's breaking every rule in the book, and they could have their contract cancelled for that.
So they take it off the 4.
Yeah, now what they're supposed to do is deduct the trainer's percentage, which is £400, then deduct gym fees and any expenses the boxer takes. So let's say it's another £600-700, and then take 25% of 2.8.
Yeah.
That's what they're supposed to do. A lot don't, and they take the 25% off the top. Now, believe it or not, that's automatic. Boxer can come out of the contract for that because that's breaking every rule. So that's how it should be. So that's the maximum manager can take. Some managers, like me, don't take anything like that.
Yeah.
Because we offer a much fairer deal to the boxer. But managers can charge up to that if they want to do it, and boxers, if they agree to it, must be happy with it.
Yeah.
We don't charge that, that's our choice. But there's nothing wrong with managers taking 25%. What's wrong is when I've seen it done so often, they just take it off the top.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
How much does it affect you, Charlie, like when you're looking over where to go, who to work with? Like the financial side or the ambition side? What's
The ambition side.
Yeah.
Obviously, there ain't much money in boxing for small fighters.
Yeah.
So you want to go with someone who's going to be able to get you to where you want to what you want to achieve, like Southern Area English title. So you'd rather go with someone who's got the ambition to push for these things and who actually want to look after you and help you achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Rather than the money, the money will come later on once you start getting higher and higher. But to me, I'd rather box and win a Southern Area title than fight for 10 grand.
Yeah.
So ambition over money.
I like that. Question from Mikey at Analyse Boxing, who he didn't like my assessment at the weekend of Kalya Fight because I said he was boring, and I stand by it. It's no offence to Kalya Fight, but
no, I understand.
In a division where you've got Estrada, Rungasev, Chocolatito, running through people, I can't get my head around Kalya Fight at the moment. I think he needs to go and step up over in America where those Superfly cards go on. But yeah, that's just my take on him. How do you handle prospects you think are incredibly talented but at the same time fail to sell enough tickets that are required? Which I think is a really good question because
it's a great question.
It's a hard balance, isn't it?
Well, no, it's not a balance anymore.
Is it not?
No. If you'd asked me the same question 3 or 4 years ago, I'd have answered it totally differently. After being shafted so many times by boxers,
yeah.
I
know some of those stories. It's not just Steve saying that he's been shafted.
You know I've been shafted.
Yeah.
And if, for example, I invest £10,000 in a boxer, then that boxer or a promoter could just come and steal them. And if for example, a boxer is under contract, for example, and he wants to break that contract through no valid reason, all you end up getting as a manager is up to 25% of their earnings for the remainder of the contract, right? But that 25% of the those earnings, they can try and fiddle those earnings down, somebody could. So you could end up with 25% of very little. And you could have invested all that money, and then you lose it, and then you just lose it all. So the problem now is when you are doing something at my level, you've got to work with people that you don't want to be making money out of them, but you can't be financially investing, because if you invest, it's just like throwing money down a toilet.
Yeah, you can't just sink endless amounts in.
But I have done before,
yeah,
and I've just lost loads of money.
So when it comes back to Mikey's question then around how do you handle the prospects if they don't sell the requisite number of tickets?
It's no good for me. I can't actually handle them. There's got to be something they bring. They may be incredibly talented, but I can't put my money into something. The only thing that, if they're that incredibly talented, if I can go and get them a deal with a television promoter,
yeah,
at that point, then you can do that. But if I can't, if they're not that incredibly talented, that we can't get them signed to a Sauerland or an Eddie Hearn or a Frank Warren or Barry McGuigan, whoever these may be, these people that offer the bigger purses, if you can't, or David Hay, if you can't get them signed to those promoters, and those promoters don't want to invest in them, then you are going to be stuck.
Yeah.
Somebody like Willie Hutchinson, for example, who fights under David Hay, I'm sure he's not the biggest ticket seller in the world, but David Hay has took him on because he's incredibly talented. But that incredibly talented is really incredibly talented.
Yeah.
So what we consider as incredibly talented by winning an ABAs is not good enough for that.
Yeah.
So
then GB level.
Yeah. So from our point of view, all I know is plenty of managers that have done this investing, and every single one of them has been burnt.
Yeah. All right, another question from Mikey. What is the most bizarre incident or experience you've ever had in boxing so far?
You've heard all my stories. Which one?
I was going to say,
you know them all.
Half of them can't be repeated. It's a problem.
Well, you answer that because you know them all.
There's a few in there. There's a lift up in up north that Josh walked out of, and someone melted.
Yeah. Fairly recently. So that's quite. Yeah, we can't mention that.
No, I do know that. I'll try and think of some.
Let's come back to that one.
We'll answer that.
I think the story. I still think the story that I can repeat is the one of the two involving Dereck Chisora.
Yeah.
Which one can I say? Do you think the one that we had in the most recent one that I've never mentioned before? Okay, so we're in the dressing room in Liverpool, and Dereck's all gloved up, ready to go, and he said, "I need a shit." So he said to the people in the train, "Which one are you going to draw straws to wipe my arse?" So what then happened was everybody's going, "Well, nobody wants to do it," and he said to Don Charles, he said, "Do you remember you had to do this for a certain boxer? I'm not going to mention his name. Blah blah blah." And Charles says, "Yeah, I remember doing it. I had to wipe his shit." And Dereck said, "Do you remember what happened to you afterwards?" He said, "No." And he said, "He dumped you straight after the fight." And that is true. That is true.
What a lovely image. What a lovely image.
That's wild.
Question from Darren Jennings. If Steve could put any fight on for one of his fighters, what would it be?
Arthur Iqbal, Lawrence Okoli.
Yeah? And that's not unrealistic, is it? That could happen.
That'll happen. I think that could happen next year. I mean, Arthur's got to deal with Simon Vallily first.
Yeah, good fight.
I'd love to see Arthur Iqbal, Lawrence Okoli. I think Lawrence Okoli's a great fighter, but I'd love to see Arthur detonate on his chin.
It'd just be a firefight. I think 3 rounds of
mayhem.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Do you know what? I think I'd love, because the problem with you fight Arthur Iqbal, if he lands on your chin, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that. I'm looking forward to the Vallily fight as well, because I think Arthur Iqbal will detonate on Simon Vallili's chin, and I think Simon Vallily will be put to sleep within 4 or 5 rounds, and I think Arfan could make a big statement in that fight and really become a big name, and that's what I'm expecting. But I think the Arfan Okoli fight is great. For Frank, Frank Buglioni's doing his own stuff. Dereck's going to be there. I'd like to see the Dillian White rematch, but the fight I'd love to see, because I think it'd be great for everyone to watch, be a Cody against Arthur.
It'd be good fun.
Oh, yeah.
For us, anyway.
Yeah.
The final one from David Payne. Have you ever told a fighter they should retire?
Yes.
Yeah? Are you allowed to say or no?
Not really, because I get them to retire one way or the other. So
Did they take your advice?
one ended up being forced to take my advice. So
Right.
I think sometimes one of the jobs that you have is to advise a fighter when they should retire. I have advised fighters that I think they should consider retiring this year. Some haven't, but then you sort of go one more. But I think on the whole, fighters know when the time is to quit. I think on the whole, most fighters, when we talked about it afterwards, they've all done it. I mean, I don't want to see a fighter that I've got go on too long. And you could argue that there's a couple out there that I look after at the moment that possibly could pack up now. But they could.
I think you got a few that are nearing the end.
Nearing the end. I wouldn't say they're at the end, but nearing the end.
Yeah.
But we're keeping an eye on it, and we will try and make sure that they retire when the time is definitely right.
Do you set a time frame for when you want to be out of the sport? Have you discussed that?
No, I ain't got a time frame. As long as I can achieve what I want to achieve, then that'll be it.
Yeah. So is it more a case of like when you hit those goals that you've got, then you'll be content and you can walk away from it?
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. Well, I think that's all the questions. We'll leave Steve to get ready to go to Monaco. Hard life, isn't it? It's, who are you taking over there?
I'll take Josh for me again.
Oh,
Josh is having the hard, but he's keeping me company.
You're going to be visiting the casinos and...
No, I don't. I only bet on sure things. You should know that.
Oh, that's true, actually. Yeah.
Even though I used to bet, I used to actually on horse racing and stuff. I used to actually make money from betting, and I have done all my life because my father was a professional punter. I only bet when I think the odds are stacked, and not that often, but with a very, very high success rate. Casinos, as you know, you must lose.
Yeah.
I will not spend £5 in a casino.
Yeah.
No, not
that's fair enough.
Because they're the winners. You can't win.
Yeah, there's a reason they're there and they make lots of money. Excellent. Right, so we should leave you to it. Thank you so much to Charlie for coming up for the evening.
Nice one.
And good luck to Dereck at the weekend. It'll be a good fight, so that's on Sky Sports, isn't it? It's
not bad cut. Watch out for Bivol on Saturday.
Yeah, he's fighting Trent Broadhurst, isn't he?
He's supposed to be the new thing. The Kovalev Ward, and whether it's Bivol Saturday, that's the one I'm looking forward to.
That's for the WBA, isn't it?
Yes. Can't wait to see him fight.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see him
fight. Right, so enjoy that Saturday night. Sky Sports, tune in, see Dereck Chisora, EBU title fight, and we'll see you next week. So take care.